I am the Space Quest historian. I started live streaming again recently, which I used to really hate doing, and now I really like doing. For some reason, don't ask me why, my mind is a mystery wrapped in an enigma. Anyway, one of the things I like to do in between playing longer games is to seek out more bite-sized nuggets of entertainment, preferably of the batshit weird variety. And as you probably know full well, there is no shortage of batshit weird stuff on Steam and itch.io. So, here are 4 games I've found on a complete lark that, for one reason or another, compelled me. One of them is a bizarre fever dream in glorious 4-color CGA, another is a bizarre fever dream with stark monochromatic visuals, yet another is a bizarre fever dream that looks like complete ass, and the last one is just really fucking insane. Now, as these were recorded live, you're gonna see some dodgy facecam and stream chat and shit like that, but don't worry, I'll fast forward through some bits to keep things moving at a reasonably brisk pace and fill in the gaps with some narration so you hopefully won't get too bored. The full Livestream VODs are on my second channel if you want to watch them. There are links to those in the description. Right, let's get started. I found this little gem at the tail end of a stream where I was playing a different game, one that I won't bore you with right now because it really wasn't very good, but this one grabbed my attention immediately, and those of you who have followed my channel for a while now will know exactly why.
It's got the color palette we all know and love, and it hilariously misspells the word phone. I'm just gonna install this right now. New game, let's fucking go. This is the spot. If everything is in order, the dissident should have escaped, and all they have to do is clean the evidence so the authorities won't get on her trail.
So we're kind of thrown into the deep end here, but maybe the titular dissident can clear some things up and explain what's going on here.
Oh, the dissident looks very dissidential. The dissident isn't supposed to be here. I need to find out what's going on. So you're the cleanup crew. As you can see, there's been a complication. I was supposed to escape into my dreams, but my tape recorder got busted. It looks like it's working fine to me.
Huh?
I'm not an expert, but it looks like a total mess. If you want to finish your job and make a name for yourself in the underground, you'll have to help me.
Or maybe not. Long story short, she's a fugitive from something, it's very unclear what, and she needs her tape recorder to go into some kind of trance so she can escape the authorities. Don't ask me how that works. She tells you to go see Raul, a dude who runs a radio shop who can help us fix the tape recorder. This is Raul.
The fuck are you? It's a Furby with tits.
Raul says he needs 2 things to fix the tape recorder, a bubble hub adapter and a furious velocity drive, and he knows where to get both of them, but obviously it's up to us to actually retrieve them because, well, the dude has a radio shop to run, and I also don't think he has any legs. The bubble adapter is in the hands of Shayna, the renowned bubble artist. Again, just roll with it. She wants to help, but her assistant Alan has the key to her bubble machine, so we have to go and retrieve it from his drunk ass by reciting the magic phrase...
Blue fox has slipped through simmering water. What is he supposed to be, a lemon with sunglasses? Here for Alan's key, what's the password? I'm just kidding. Here you go. Fuck you, you're not funny.
Key in hand, we return to Shayna's studio and proceed to pump the hub adapter full of bubbles. And with that...
Concluding the operation, I feel the hub adapter has changed in its texture. It is now a bubbly hub adapter.
Next up is the Furious Velocity Drive. Now, Raul said he had a velocity drive, but it was in need of some fury. And to acquire that, we must visit Fia the Demoness, who lives in a...
Do not tell me this is a maze.
Yeah, it's a sewer maze. God, what is it about game developers and sewer mazes? Fuck. Anyway, here's Fia.
What the Hi, Fia. I am fire. Okay. First of all, what the fuck's fire doing in the sewer? Isn't it wet down there?
Now, Fia says she'll gladly fill our velocity drive with fury, but of course there's a catch.
I love to fill things with fury, but you come at an importune hour. Not a word I was familiar with. My pet, the irritating squirrel, has disappeared. As much as I'd like to help you, I cannot become irritated enough to spare fury without him.
So off we fuck through the sewer maze in search of an irritating squirrel, and yeah, it is an actual fucking sewer maze. I mean, look, I even had to bust out my professional super buffo map drawing skills for this one. Eventually, we reach the end and encounter this weird hovering fuck with a fashionable mustache.
Flame spirit. There's a flaming spirit hovering in the air. Is he fabulous? Thou shalt not pass. Wait, is this what the water is for?
Yeah, earlier in the game, we sucked up a puddle of water through a straw outside the sewer.
I'll use the straw and suck it up. I fill my mouth with water from the... I think I'm getting into the vibe of this game.
And we've been carrying this dirty-ass water sloshing around in our cheeks all this time until finally we get to...
Smooch. I spray water from my mouth onto the flame spirit. It's been in there for quite some time. Ah, water. I am extinguishing. And off he fucks. The flame spirit flees through a solid brick wall, apparently. Hello, squirrel. This must be the irritating squirrel. Hi, buddy. How you doing? Oh, you'd like to return me to Fia? She misses me terribly. Oh no, I was just skimming through the sewers and got carried away. You look like a piece of toast on legs.
So the little woodland creature scampers back to her friend, who promptly berates us for returning a little shit to her, and then imbues our doohickey with the power of pure squirrel-induced fury. With both our peculiar MacGuffins suitably powered up by spaced-out bullshit, we return to Raoul, who promptly fixes up the psychedelic tape recorder.
Excellent sound design. Transitioning device added to inventory. There we go, that should take anyone just about anywhere, or anything from anywhere to here, who knows.
And finally, we can hand the finished device off to the Dissident, so she can do whatever the hell she's supposed to do with it. Listen to Pink Floyd until her consciousness bakes itself into the size and consistency of a fucking Pop-Tart, who knows? Anyway, we're about to find out, so strap yourself in for this one, lads.
You might want to put that thing out. You don't need to escape to anywhere except the hospital. Cancer ward or something. You have it? To be honest, I was worried you might not pull through, but you did. You're a hero. Now let's get me the hell out of here.
Now this goes on for quite some time.
Epilepsy warning, I guess. We've escaped into the demo scene. Ah, sushi. Damn, it just brought through some sushi. This isn't going too well for my escape, but I guess we might just as well eat this tray up. Dig in. Thank you for playing. Well, thank you for making it, whoever you are.
Yeah, this was a trip, wasn't it? But it was fun. It definitely had a style and tone it was going for. The Dissident herself is this sexy and mysterious 1920s French spy chick with a beret, but the world she inhabits is full of weirdly endearing monsters and bizarre gadgets, all served up on a platter of glorious four-color CGA. Now, it's a short adventure. It took me a little under half an hour to beat, and most of that time was spent mapping out the fucking sewer maze. And honestly, if it hadn't been for that fucking sewer maze, I would have just told you to go out and play the game for yourself if you wanted to see the ending, because the ending is indeed every level of delightful batshittery I was hoping for. But still, if you want to support the developer, which I very much think you should do in the hopes that they will continue to make equally batshit stuff in the future, then please check out the link to their itch.io page in the description. Right, time to move on to the next one.
Haley says, you don't actually want to kill me. Undecided. Yes, I do. Oh, no, you don't. You haven't thrown me in front of a bus. You haven't had me stab myself or shoot myself. You haven't had me jump off a cliff or into a lake. In fact, I can list a million different ways you could have killed me. And somehow the best thing you could do, apparently, was to make me half blind.
All right, I'm going to speed through this game because the game itself is honestly kind of pointless, but I do have a point I want to make about it, and I can't really make that without telling you what it's about, so I hope you'll stick around for that. Also, it's one of those walking simulator games where you walk back and forth across ginormous environments and listen to people having conversations with little to no gameplay involved whatsoever. Now, I love these types of games, don't get me wrong, but they don't make for particularly scintillating video content, and most of my stream just consisted of me reading the dialogue out loud because there's no voice acting. So yeah, I'll just give you a brief rundown for this one if I can, because this game is a lot and also a lot of nothing. You'll see. We play as Haley, a 13-year-old girl who has spent the last 3 months being possessed by the ghost of her former friend Quentin, a 34-year-old neighbor whom Haley accused of molesting her. Now, Haley's dad then shot him dead, which would seem like a win for everyone, but the trouble is, Quentin didn't actually do it. Haley made it all up to get attention from her dad, and now Quentin's ghost has taken over her body and is puppeteering her sassy little ass around, looking for a suitable way he can get her killed so he can get some sweet revenge. At least that's what he says, but you gotta wonder why it's taking him this long. Oh, and you may also be wondering why we're walking around this island. I have no idea. Apparently some murders happened on this island, and Quentin wants to find out why, or at least that's his excuse at the start of the game, and Haley wonders out loud if he plans to have her killed there or just leave her there to die, but look, if there's a proper explanation for why we're actually here, I must have zoned out and missed it, because having a barely pubescent girl talking to a ghost about molesting her is seriously distracting, and not to mention a bit fucking skeevy, and that's only a scratch in the surface of this game. At some point, we gain access to a church with an organ that can teleport us to various dimensions of complete and utter insanity. And again, I'm just going to speed fire through this because I've been trying to get a firm grip on what's actually going on here. But I took a look at the Steam forums for this game, and apparently you need to have played some of the other of this developer's games to fully understand what's going on here, which frankly makes me feel a lot less stupid for not getting it, but also kind of irritates me because without knowing that, and the Steam page doesn't tell you that, you'll be spending most of this game scratching your head wondering why a floating chair is babbling on about interdimensional beings, or why there are Minecraft pigs floating in the red sky. Things almost seem to come together and start making some kind of sense when you get to this torture chamber in one of the freaky deaky dimensions, and you're thinking, okay, this is what Quentin was trying to do all along. He was trying to lure Haley to this place so he could strap her into this device thing, and because at one point the floating chair here says that these other interdimensional beings, the Spindlemen, like to drag people off to their music machine and play terrible sonatas with their bodies, which sounds like an awesome bit of cosmic body horror. And I'm assuming this thing is the music machine because the handy coordinates in the chart specifically say they lead to the music machine, and this thing's got a lovely set of ivories attached to it, but instead of this leading up to an interesting climax, we instead get teleported to the wibbly-wobbly dimension and have to dodge these low-poly Spindlemen for some reason, and then we get a fucking gun and start shooting them, and then we escape somehow, and Haley tells Quentin she loves him despite still being possessed by him, and then the world turns into Alan's psychedelic breakfast, and then the credits roll. Look, here's my problem with this. It seemed like I was in for a good time. Well, not a good time given the subject matter, but a suitably intriguing time at least. The premise is frankly genius. A girl being dragged along by a vengeful ghost on a deserted island through freaky dimensions where there may or may not be some Lovecraftian horror shit going on, and the monochromatic art style is really stunning, but it doesn't actually go anywhere. Instead, it just keeps marinating itself in endless babbling dialogue about vague things that you think you might be able to make sense of later on, but ends up not really telling you anything other than the developer really wants to be David Lynch. Now, I'm sure if you play through the developer's entire back catalog of games that some of this might make a little more sense, but I'm not fucking doing that. I would have to be incredibly invested and fascinated to the point of obsession with the lore of this world to dive into that rabbit hole, and I'm just not. The spinning chair of endless bullshit just doesn't do it for me. The notes left around about how this one guy Roger started a cult on the island believing himself to be God or Jesus or whatever because he'd found out how to dimension hop and then ended up being trapped in one of the weird dimensions and realizing he was a bag of shit all along, didn't do it for me. The interdimensional BDSM dungeon almost did, but then we got tossed into the 8-bit Slenderman dimension instead, and by then I just stopped giving a shit entirely. Maybe the developer of this game has some fantastic points or ideas in his head that he really wants to communicate hidden beneath all the exhausting waffle and kooky set pieces, or maybe he just thinks cosmic horror means he can make shit up that's freaky in a vague sort of way and expect everyone to think he's a master storyteller, but whatever he was trying to do with this game just came across as a lot of pretentious masturbation to me. And here's the point I wanted to make about this. I almost didn't include this game in the video at all because I don't want to be the I hate it because I don't get it guy. No one wants to be the I hate it because I don't get it guy. Oh, Blade Runner's nothing but a big nothing burger about a detective who doesn't do any detective work. Oh, Twin Peaks is just about Kyle MacLachlan drinking coffee in a town full of weirdos. No one likes that guy, but sometimes not wanting to be that guy makes us afraid of calling out pretentious bullshit when we see it. If you're going to do an enigmatic story of this type, where the audience, the viewer, or in this case the player, has to do most of the work to piece together what it's actually about, you have to tread a very fine line between giving your audience too much information that ends up trivializing the mystery or over-explaining it, or giving your audience not enough information and making the whole thing an incoherent mess that you may think is fucking brilliant but no one else does, and for one very good reason. It's like a jigsaw puzzle. You want to give the audience just enough pieces to make them think they can see the full picture, but leave out enough pieces so that you can still surprise them. Now, David Lynch was a master of leaving viewers with just enough pieces to get a glimpse of what his thing was about, but then kept dropping in pieces that seemed to be from a completely different puzzle, which confused the hell out of everyone until they discovered that the pieces actually did fit together after all, and they just thought they were looking at a completely different picture. This game, by contrast, has too few pieces in its puzzle. The picture we see here has some pieces in place, but there's not enough to give us an indication of what picture it's trying to form. Instead, it keeps throwing random pieces down that don't slot into any of the other pieces and expects us to fill in the gaps with nothing. So no, I don't hate it because I don't get it. I hate it because it thinks it's so fucking clever, but it really is just a case of bad storytelling wrapped in absolute heaps of dull esoteric dialogue. Also, writing about a 13-year-old girl who wants to bang her 34-year-old male friend is just pointless shock value, dude. I hope you're on a list somewhere. Right, that's my soapbox moment of this video. Let's move on to something fun. Alright, this one is a first-person horror game that only gets more and more unintentionally hilarious as it goes on. So as we dive into this mirthful train wreck, I want you to keep in mind that this game was released in 2018. Now, at the time of making this video, it's 2026, so I just want you to have this in the back of your head. This game is less than 10 years old. Okay, let's dive in.
I swear I'm gonna collapse if we don't find somewhere to rest soon.
You do tire pretty quickly.
Ugh, give me a break. We've been walking for the last several hours, and we haven't seen a single motel yet.
Don't worry, Kendra. I'm sure we'll find something soon. It will be worth the effort.
You'll have to speak up, ladies.
Make up for the 10 gallons of sweat I lost in the last few hours.
Hello there. What are you two doing in the middle of the road by yourselves? You need a ride somewhere?
Can I? Okay, the cutscene is still playing. I wanted to put on subtitles. What are you saying?
Yeah, for some reason the developers decided to leave this catastrophically loud sound effect of the truck's engine idling while this guy's trying to talk to us. If you didn't catch this at the start, these disturbing looking ambulatory mannequins are our two protagonists. We play as the ponytailed one specifically. And they're out hitchhiking but haven't found a place to spend the night. Now the guy in the truck says there's a motel up ahead that's run by this sweet old couple named the Kinseys, and then starts blabbing on about how they lost their 5-year-old son and it made them recluses, but they still keep the motel open for some reason. And with that big fat load of plot exposition dumped at our feet, we make our way to the motel where we have the first of many, many jump scares.
Sorry, this looks like a fucking Quake 2 mod.
Did you see that?
Oh god, the window farted.
Inside, we're introduced to another recurring element of this game, our traveling companion being an unreasonably lazy fuck.
Do you mind getting the room? I'm too tired to do any paperwork.
Sure.
Hi, sorry to disturb you.
1 second.
What is he doing?
So yeah, this guy's a real douchebag, very much unlike the sweet-hearted, bereaved man that Mr. Trucky Truck was telling us about, but maybe it's just been a long night, who knows. He eventually gives us our room key and we head upstairs. Now our travel companion wants to go take a shower, and after she leaves, the spooky music kicks in to warn us that we're about to see something freaky. Also, it bears mentioning because you will see this happen a few times later in the game. When you look down, this happens.
Okay. Also, when I look down, I can't move. Like, when I look down, that's... Oh my god! I take it back, I can move.
All right. With our friend occupying one of the bathrooms, I figured we'd use the other one to scrub ourselves down, and once again, the soundtrack lets us know immediately that things are about to get spooky.
Audio got a bit spooky dooky in here. Get closer to open the curtains. Do I have to? Alright. Why was that? Was that supposed to be scary? Hey, the automatic returning shower. Motherfucker! Why? What? I'm still good.
Our friend in the other bathroom, however, is not good.
All right, what do you got? Why are you just staring blankly into space? Mold.
Is that mold?
I'm not sure. There's this weird smell in the bathroom. I wasn't sure where it was coming from.
Use the other bathroom. There's a dude in there, but he seems nice.
Tell the owners about this. I can't believe they take guests in with a bathroom in this state.
Okay, you go talk to them. Oh, and the shower head's broken.
A quick trip to the storeroom for us, where we, for some reason, can steal absolutely everything.
What's this? What's this? I'll have everything on the menu, thank you. I will have all of your shit. I cleaned out your storage room for you.
Our friend, of course, is grateful and appreciative.
Ah, there you are. Took you a while to get the shower head.
Fuck you, toilet brush head. Oh, but we're not done for the night yet.
Oh, I think I saw a laundry room downstairs. Since I'm already in my pajamas, do you mind taking our dirty clothes down there? Please?
Why, of course we will, darling. And 3, 2, 1, jump scare.
Nah, that's just rude. That's just rude. Pick up after yourself. Fuck you. Oh no! I see the Maitlands have arrived.
We're ghosts.
I can't move.
I'm not scared of sheets.
And there's our introduction to the lady of the house, presumably the wife of the lanky fuck at the front desk. She's not very nice either, and she throws us out of the laundry room for making too much noise. Well, at least we can finally go back to our room and get some fucking rest. Or not.
With the darkness of the night still surrounding the estate, her deep slumber was suddenly interrupted by a distant jump scare. Again.
Our friend here is still sound asleep, although...
She sleeps above the cupboard. Also, her gym jams have changed color. She's gonna turn into Sigourney Weaver and, like, levitate above the bed, isn't she? There is no laundry, only Zool. Alright, who's next on the jump scare list? Oh, the fart cloud is back. Hey, kid. Alright, so is that the scary room?
Yes, that's the scary room. So, of course we want to get in there, which involves breaking into the Kinsey's office.
Ah, damn it. Oh, damn it, my head turned into a light bulb again. Keys? Alright, kid. Sorry for the delay. I'm coming.
Only trouble is, the key we picked up doesn't unlock the spooky room, but it is in one of these other rooms. It's in this weird little compartment inside the closet, to be exact, but the handle is missing. But we can jimmy the contraption from the adjoining room with a screwdriver and get jump scared again.
Fuck you! Fuck you! Why did she pop up like that?
Surprise, motherfucker.
So now, with the key in hand, we can finally open the spooky door and have a look inside.
NANI?
For a second, I thought you were never going to wake up.
Ah,
Are you ready for our little hiking trip?
no.
Give me a second to get myself ready.
Hurry.
Give me a second to reattach my head.
So the next morning, on a hike to absolutely nowhere, whilst our ramen-haired companion softly caresses her lips with what appears to be a bottle of hooch, we try to explain the events of last night, but of course she doesn't believe a word of it. Then Mr. Soft-spoken truck driver shows up to drop the bombshell on us that the guy who checked us in at the motel isn't Mr. Kinsey at all, and we should get the fuck out of Dodge. Except...
I'll need some ID from both of you.
Oh, we can give you our driving licenses.
I'm going to keep those with me until you check out.
Fucking bravo, ladies. And from then on, the gig is basically to get the driving licenses back with the help of our truck driving friend, and this is unfortunately when the game starts dragging quite a bit, so I'm just going to fast forward to the end. Of course, we end up solving the mystery of what happened, and it's just as predictable as you might think. The real Kinsey family is dead. The dude and the lady at the motel killed them because they're drug dealers. Look, they even have an illicit drug lab in the basement. The dead family is now haunting the motel.
Well, the Mr. Clean family has arrived.
And in a slight twist, the person who put Tank Top Boy and his lovely mistress up to it was the truck driver all along, cause in addition to speaking imperceptibly above the roar of his truck's engine, he's also a drug kingpin. He then shoots us. The end. This is a hilariously awful game. The graphics are absolutely hideous, the story is cliche, and the horror elements rely almost entirely on cheap jump scares.
Okay, jump scare me. Come at me, bro. There you are. Oh, he just wants a hug.
The game was developed primarily for VR, but I can't imagine being able to see these environments up close in 360 degrees would make them any less appalling. But holy fuck is it funny. Not intentionally so, the game very much thinks it's a very serious, very competent ghost horror thriller, but it is absolutely not that. It's mystery science theater fodder at its finest. It is completely lacking in self-awareness, and it's staggeringly incompetently put together. But at least it didn't crash on me, and it did give me more than a few good chuckles. But if you thought this game was a head trip, wait till you see what's coming next. Alright, this game will have you question whether you're dreaming or just really fucking stoned. Even the premise is 10 shades of fucked up. You play as some dude who has invented a device called the Somnia Vigilance, which basically causes any person in its vicinity to trip utter fucking balls. The device has been stolen by your former colleague, Dr. Judah Lowe, and he's hiding somewhere in this abandoned building for reasons. It's up to you to track him down and retrieve the device, again for reasons, while your surroundings get progressively more and more fucked up. It's your typical first-person node-based affair, and the backgrounds are heavily edited photographs from real-world locations somewhere in Germany, and I mean heavily edited. The puzzle-solving mechanic is kind of unique in a sense. You do pick up items along the way and you use them to solve little puzzles like opening this door, for instance, but instead of you selecting what object you want to use on the door, the game instead asks you to type in what you want to use.
It is locked. Do I have anything that can open it? Yes. Crowbar. I'm wasting time. What? Fists. I'm wasting time. Erect. Penis. This isn't it. What? Wait. That's a different message.
Now, as far as I can tell, there's no inventory window where you can look at what you're carrying either, so you have to keep track of what you've picked up along the way yourself, although that's not a huge issue since the game is only about half an hour long and meant to be played in a single sitting. The first puzzle in the game is to simply get this door open, and to do that, we stick a crowbar in this machine, which for some reason spits out a silver key. Right, okay. Once we go through the door, however, all bets are off.
Damn. Everything looks tinted slightly purple. Is this just the way the room looks, or did the creator of this game suddenly go on a Photoshop bender? 1, 2, 3. Alrighty, Heidi. Hello, how are you? Is that a camel? Why is there a camel here? No, this isn't. This has to be an illusion. It looks incredibly real, though. It really does look incredibly real. I bet I can get that chandelier down. Do I have anything I can use to reach it or break the chain from a distance? Erect penis. Do I have what I need? I don't know.
Leaving the incredibly real-looking camel for now, we move further down the hallway where things appear slightly less peculiar.
Let's try door number 2. Door number 2 is suddenly an insane asylum from the 1940s.
This door at the far end, however, is stuck shut.
Wait, can we crowbar this thing? Open right up. Okay. Ooh, the theater collapsed back there. What actually is this place? Well, it's a theater. The theater has seen better days. Is it safe to be here? I'm a little worried this is going to collapse on my head. Film projector. Wonder if I can use anything on here. No.
We'll come back to that. In one of the adjoining rooms, we find a gun.
That's a fucking gun. So I got a gun. It looks like there's something back here. I wonder if I put something heavy down there, what would happen? Please, this must work at some point. Okay, we don't have something heavy. We have a gun and we have a camel. I'm gonna go shoot the camel. No, I'm not actually gonna shoot the camel. I'm gonna shoot the chandelier though. Gun. Fucking A, dude. I got it down. Now, what do I do with this? Chandelier. There it goes. I didn't even hear it hit anything. Deep hole.
Nice.
While we don't really know why we did that or how that will in any way help us yet, we do find a roll of film in another adjoining room, so at least we can keep ourselves moderately entertained in the theater.
Alright, fuck. Who's in the mood for a picture? Film. Roll? Got it. Did it turn on? What's that sound? I should look around the theater. Will fucking do, Squire. Ah, yes. Inside the television screen is a tunnel. From here on in, I don't know if I'll be able to distinguish dream from reality. Good.
And as promised, this is when the game starts hitting the gas full throttle and piles down Sanity Highway in the opposite direction.
Alright, let's, survey says let's go upstairs. There's a tiger on the ceiling. Okay, we've got a camel and a tiger. I'm hoping for a gerbil next time. Hello! Statue of a jester. His hand is empty, but there's a slot for him to hold something. Which item to use? You guessed it.
Further down the hall in this eye-searing yellow room is a locked door, but we don't have a way to open it yet, so we backtrack and head down the stairs where we find our old friend, the chandelier, and a new friend.
Hello, Mr. Knights. Fancy seeing you here. There's a chandelier.
And also, for some reason, an alien baby.
Is that an alien? Looks like it's dead. That's sad. Can I pick it up?
No, the alien baby's just there for decoration. Are those edibles kicking in yet? I'm going to skip ahead a bit. Once we open the very yellow door, we find ourselves back where we started, but with a lot more Photoshop filters applied. We make our way through the hall again, this time under the watchful eye of a Queen Elizabeth statue inexplicably floating outside the window, and through the door.
Hello, eyeballs. Oh, fuck. The Manhunter game's got a remake.
Since we can't squish our way past the eyeballs, we instead move into this brightly lit room that's inexplicably very blue on the other side, and come face to backside with our nemesis, Dr. Lowe. He says he'll give the mindfucky device back, but on one condition.
We hope you're taking notes, because there's going to be a short quiz at the end of the game.
Are you kidding? Please indulge me. I don't want to have to run away again. Alright. Firstly, do you remember my first name?
Yeah, I went back and cheated.
Can we cheat and just start another instance of the game? Yes, we can. Judah. That's right, I've forgotten. Thank you. Next.
He asks us a couple more questions, both of which I also went back and cheated on. And finally, Dr. Lowe reveals the reason for his subterfuge.
If you exist under the influence of the device for too long, the boundaries between reality and dream begins to break down. This isn't just a tool, it's a weapon. Also, it conjures up camels and tigers and eyeballs and shit. No, I'm taking the device and I'm getting out of here. I'm warning you. I've got something that'll kill you if I need to. I've got a gun and a crowbar and an erect penis.
After a bit more waffling, Dr. Lowe collapses on the ground, though his sprite remains standing up, and our protagonist makes off with the Somniad Vigilance device. The final narration wonders if we might still be dreaming or not, after which the game very unceremoniously announces that we've won.
You win.
And that's the end of that. A true head trip of a game. An adorably demented piece of interactive fiction. And if you think I'm going to sit here and rip it to shreds for being kooky and weird, think again. This is the sort of shit we need more of. Two people, high as fucking kites, making a game out of Creative Commons licensed pictures from people's Flickr pages. I'll bet this game didn't cost more than what the local head shop charges for a bag of gummies, but it has what most indie games don't have. A complete lack of ambition. I'll bet you anything that Dave and Emmy, the developers of this game, didn't put this shit together because they thought it was going to land them on the fast train to indie stardom. They did this because they wanted to, because they felt like it, possibly because they were off their fucking tits. But that's as valid a motivation as anything else. And that's why I think this game, along with The Dissident, is what I really want to see more of. Two games that are just unashamedly bonkers with no regard whatsoever for target audiences, market hype, seed investment capital, focus groups, newsletters, Kickstarter, celebrity endorsements, or even the slightest bit of common sense. They just exist because the developers felt like putting them into the world, and who gives a fuck who plays them, if anyone. But I did. And I'm glad I did. I'm gonna go look for more of these. Maybe I'll even make another video about what else I find dumpster diving through the back alleys of itch and Steam. So if you want to see more of this, let me know. Until next time, support your indie devs, unless they use AI, in which case, fuck them with a splintered stick, and I'll see you around the Chrono Stream. Bye!